focus back into what we are actually talking about in terms of adapting supply chain for changing economies. I think I would like to take an anchoring point around the AAA supply chain, something that started with 7-Eleven. There's a big case study about 25 years back, however, did it in a big way, and we all knew about agility, adaptability, and alignment. I think that's become almost like par with everybody who's into supply chain today. Getting back into what's going to be the emerging economies and the changing economies, supply chain challenges, I like to focus on three new normals. There could be plenty of many more could be there, but the three new normals that I'm going to talk about is first the new normal of the freight traffic. I think in the morning there was a mention about it. Harry mentioned that 80% of the containers which are going to US from China are possibly returning empty. 65% of those are returning empty. If you look at the bulk cargo, you will see that large part of those large vessels which are leaving the Australian coast for China are coming back empty. And therefore there is a major change in the sea traffic itself. And we have all gone through with it. We know those who are involved in the freight management areas, those who are involved in the sea freight areas. The swell that we had in the 2005, 2006, 2007, the new build ships have just been added every day, so much so that by the time it was 2011, it was time for penalties and cancellation of orders, so much so that not many of those vessels were actually delivered. They had to be abandoned in between. So it was a huge supply chain challenge in terms of adjusting to the new scenario in the freight, the way the freight is moving from one part to the other. These are bigger pictures. I'm actually wanting to stay on the bigger picture because a lot of detailing has already been done in different sectors by different speakers. So that's one new normal that's actually worrying me. And if I had to install a research team today and speak about where we are going to go from here, I think the first view that I would have taken is business going to be as global as it is today? Is a localization going to replace some part of globalization that has already happened? Or is there going to be a new rule of game to be played under? The other new normal is technology. We have been talking about it in the morning. Again, Harry mentioned about Jeff Bezos going in for a drone delivery. Amazon is now planning for it. I think it's just a matter of time before it actually starts getting approvals, and you are going to have intelligent crafts carrying products for customers. Which way it is going to be is something that one has to see and map, but that's a new normal for me. I will be very, very careful in terms of mapping that and say, is there something that I can actually, there's a lever that's available for me and I can go ahead and do that. Something very interestingly for India, for our own very, very frugal economy that we are in, there is this great move by the India Post. They have started a 35 kilos package being delivered, and I understand, I don't have a confirmation of that in terms of any literature, but I understand that 60% of the pin codes of the country would be covered by this initiative. You can imagine what it is going to mean for those small traders who would like to do business in the local areas. Something that's not happening today is possibly going to be there because you have a footprint, you have a brand which has been proven over hundreds of years, and they know rural market more than anybody else does in this country. So that's a new normal for me, changing mindset. People are actually looking at something which can be engaged and which can actually be used as a lever, something that's going to bring in a very, very quick result, and there are going to be certain low-hanging fruits which are going to be picked up by the way. The third new normal for me is the technology, something that we have talked about and we have not really done much in terms of understanding. We have all been a part of history. We have all gone from the mainframes into the personal computers, into mobile technology. We have all traversed to that, but we have not really taken time to understand and absorb what is it that it's going to mean for me. We hear about the money transfer system that was started in Africa, of all places. Something that didn't have any other logistics mode, had another way of doing it, which was virtual cash, which was being transferred by mobile technology. Similarly, from the logistics point of view, the bigger picture of it is going to be the manufacturing 3.0. Something which is doing the rounds now. There is a huge research that's going in. It is actually embedding intelligence in the components itself. The components itself would be knowing what is going to be the path for it from the upstream to the downstream, the entire journey of that component, and how it is going to be manufactured and delivered, that it has the lowest cost of delivery and the highest satisfaction from the customer's point of view. That's a research that's going on. I understand McKinsey is leading this particular research, and some of those are filtering through. We are getting to know about a little of that. Maybe more of that is going to be available for the students of today who are going to be in a position to get an advantage coming out of it. The third new normal for me is going to the mindset. This is something where supply chain comes in a big way. As I said, that India, being India, the frugal economy that we are, we possibly got to reinvent many rules which have not been really written down by anybody. It's very sad that a great product like Apple iPhone 5 had a supply chain in which the assembly of cameras in Vietnam had to be done by people from Nepal. And this is a published document. Many of you, if you have access to it, you can read that. It is actually like shipping. It's like body shopping of the worst order. There's a whole lot of layer and layer and layer of activities which are there in terms of hiring the people, shipping the people across to the other countries, and then making them almost mandatory for them to stay on for a given period of time before they come back. And in doing so, the economies have been shattered, the homes have been shattered. So I think the new normal from the supply chain management point of view is to see the human face of supply chain management. Make sure that you understand that there is a man behind the whole show, and let the man be respected for what he is. I think this is something where we are going to play a very, very major role. There is already evidence that trucking is one business in this country is extremely fragmented. The big boys don't even add up to 2 digits. They are 9%, 10% of the total business. Average truck ownership is 6 to 8 trucks in a company. And these are people who are not educated. I think we have a responsibility onto ourselves, and that's the new normal for me, that the supply chain managers are going to be socially responsible and make sure that a solution that is developed for the country is going to be good for the country. Bombay Dabbawala has already been saluted by the whole world. I think that's one new normal which is going to stay with us, and we're going to have many, many more such examples, such innovations coming in, not jugaad, but innovations coming in, and we are going to be actually the center point of that entire evolution which is happening, and what Harry said, that we are here in the center of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. I think you need a big hand because he finished on time. Yeah? Okay, may I ask Rachel Paliwal to then take the dais and speak a bit. He comes from Honda. It's a car that I always wanted to buy, but it's expensive. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how to make it cheaper. Eh?
Thank you, Harry. Distinguished speakers on the dais, national and international delegates, Dr. Chaturvedi, Dr. Lalwani, my friend Rituk and Rajiv Mishra. Rituk I am especially mentioning because if after 10 years you realize that, oh my God, this man doesn't know anything about logistics or supply chain, then you know to whom to catch hold of. I am not going to talk anything which is not available in knowledge domain or which you have not learned already, but definitely I am going to talk about whatever we have experienced as a global organization. But before I start my talk, I have a request. If I exceed the allocated time, please welcome me with a round of loud applause so that I know it's over. Thank you very much. Should I? Okay. But before I start my talks, let me pay tributes to the great leader, Nelson Mandela, the apartheid fighter, president, and great unifier of the nation. Peace to the departed soul, and my condolences to my South African brothers. Now, Honda Car India is a member of Global Family. We were founded in 1995 here in India with a 1 lakh car or 100,000 cars established capacity, which we achieved in 3 CAPA programs. Honda, as per Fortune Forbes list, is 20th most valuable brand and sells almost more than 4.5 million cars worldwide. In India, we have 2 plants. One in Greater Noida, which is 150 acres plant and has a capacity of 1,20,000 cars. There is another plant which is in Bhiwadi, has 3 lakhs capacity, and it will be operated from March. More than 200 outlets and exports to South Africa, SADC bloc, and SAARC nations. Apart from that, export of engines and CKD components to many countries across the world, with successful products like Brio, Amaze, City, Accord, and CRV, which Harry would love to buy, and I'm sure some of you would also. But it will be cheaper, it's no guarantee. Today, having been present in more than 45 countries and making cars in more than 17 countries together, we are operating in a global marketplace where vendors, suppliers, and customers are located worldwide. Our business is sensitive to labor, material, logistics, costs, and taxes. And country and currency risks in today's environment are higher than ever. All my friends from Thailand must be very well aware what happened there in 2011. And just before that, we suffered in Japan. Apart from natural disasters, economic changes which can be very, very challenging to business. In fact, many times internally we say we don't jitter by our competition, but we get jitters from economic changes. Currency fluctuations, we have seen how the dollar and rupee equation behaved, how the crude oil price changes. Government tax and levies are so uncertain. Labor cost and transportation, what South Africa is experiencing today, for last 3 months there has been a labor strike. Since November, the entire automobile industry is shut. Transportation industry is shut. There is no car which can be moved either from port to dealerships, or no material which can be moved from port to the factories, or the cars from factory to dealership. Political instability, what we have seen in Egypt, civil unrest, volatile market demand situation. Because volatile market demand is a factor of sentiments as well as the prices. And prices are largely affected by costs, and costs are affected by currencies. Apart from that, to add to the woes are the global politics, sanctions against the nations, overnight changes the equation. Then we have seen in past terrorist attacks, and to make the matter worse for the cyber attacks. And what we have suffered, the tsunami in Japan, and by the time we could hardly recover, we had a flood in Thailand, entire area going 3-meter water. We didn't know what to do. We were not prepared. Even being global organization, we were not prepared at that time. What it does, basically it increases input cost, cripples supply routes, shortage of excess stock, production failures, demand swings, and finally the lost opportunity to sell and make business. Today, it's a major threat to business. That is supply chain disruption. Automobile industry per se has many factors to affect key challenges, but challenges today are more in terms of competition, that is diminishing entry barriers, moving differentiation. Morning cost is no more a differentiation, Harry. Today the features are almost same. What differentiate? When can you supply a car to a customer when he wants it? Interestingly, today we have more than 4,000 of his customers who have booked their cars 1 year back. Right? Now we have cars to give them. They neither want the car nor want to take money back. Now what can you do with such customers? Those are interesting situations. Right? Then from external side, raw material, energy costs, exchange interest rates, all this thing is very common to me. Everybody knows about it. Industry is also suffering from overcapacity today in India, if you see. Complex alliances and ecosystem consolidations which is happening. From customer side, it's demand fragmentation, volatility, seasonal variations, decreasing loyalty. And of course, when you have customers like Harry, you have a price pressure also, believe me. So we are all suffering through all this. Now what to do? That is a major challenge to all global organizations, including Honda. The first thing and foremost thing is to reduce communication barriers. All our factories, 17 factories, are meeting together in Thailand. We have initiated a project called Supply Chain Revolution Project, SCRX. Now this project talks of building a common IT platform where all these factories can interact with each other, understand what is available at what factory at the component level, so that whenever Thailand is repeated or tsunami is repeated, we don't suffer. We can quickly know what can be brought from where, how to move it, and recover as fast as possible. Use technology, mobile, wireless, internet. We have everything today which we were not having 10 years before. Collect and collect real-time big data. Now believe me, this data is going to be huge. In 2003, I remember IBM gave a statement, and they said within every 11 hours they are processing so much of data which they have not done in the past century. Now this kind of data we need to deal with, analyze and understand, draw inferences, anticipate risks and plan for contingencies. Okay, you have got data, you have analyzed, you have understood what is the problem, then what? Build an agile supply chain which can quickly react to such situations. Synthesize internal and external data, establish transparent information network, rapidly take action to minimize impact, strike a balance between efficiency and effectiveness. Now I will deliberate on further efficiency and effectiveness. Hedge your known risks. When we build the agile supply chain, how do we do that? We need to have a market-focused design, manufacture, design our logistics, and have rapid responses. We need to leverage the network integration, leverage the strength, competencies of the partners as well, not our own only. We have to have a virtual integration in terms of leveraging people and IT for faster learning and responses. That will not be enough. We need to build a collaborative supply chain where each and every supply chain partner pools in their own strengths, methods and processes from product design to supply. The purpose is to sense, innovate, make and move on. Recently, Mr. Chaudhary has said there is a new law, and that is whether to localize or to globalize, what to do. Should we come back from globalization to localization because of these threats? I think there is a balance which is needed. In the zeal of making our supply chains JIT, just in time, lean, I think we have lost the pace somewhere. Lean is not agile, but agile is certainly lean. What we need to do is to build an agile supply chain, not purely a lean supply chain. Because the lean is okay for the standardized products, predictable demand. Agile offers variety of products in less predictable environment, where demand is volatile and you need to quickly react to the situation. So if you have a stable and predictable demand, lean strategy or JIT strategy will work, which will be forecast driven. But whereas for unpredictable and volatile demand, agile strategy will work, where made to order kind of situations can also be addressed to. Now, having realized that how these companies have hedged their risks, especially in automobile scenario in India, my little experience with Maruti as well as Honda, and little understanding of the automobile product out here, we can see in terms of export-import balances to hedge currency risk have been best practiced by Hyundai, Nissan and Toyota. Whereas the making, offshoring, nearshoring or local production, those strategies have been best practiced by Maruti Suzuki, Honda. Honda's 650-acre plant, which is in Bhiwadi, has 150 acre for supplier park only. So that would simply mean a trolley starts from supplier park and within half an hour lands in the plant. So not even 30 minutes lag time we are going to have. That kind of JIT we would. But at the same time, all these factories will be so close in terms of information network that whatever happens at our end, they are shared with the entire data so that they can react to that situation very quickly. We need to decentralize our distribution hubs, R&D centers. Honda learned this very hard way. Whatever happened in Japan, thereafter Honda decided to decentralize their R&D hub as well. We were solely depending till such time on Honda R&D Thailand. Now India has its own independent R&D hub within the plant for two-wheelers as separate. Similarly, Maruti has done, they have decentralized their distribution centers for finished vehicles, be it Nagpur, be it Bangalore, and many more to come. Sharing and hedging vendors. I think Renault Nissan has the best example in terms of sharing their vendors, hedging their risks. So is done by Ford by establishing a global supply chain and very responsive work model. Lastly but not so least, reinventing the knowledge management part. How to retain that knowledge and utilize to the best benefit in the emergent situations when such criticalities do happen. Toyota and Honda have been the most responsive nations. I still remember the time when we, because of this currency situation and rising fuel prices, the petrol-diesel disparity touched around 35 rupees a litre. And the market from 65% or 70% petrol swung into 20% petrol and 80% diesel. And unfortunately at that point of time we did not have any diesel engine. We never thought of that this could happen, or in a country like India we could face this situation because this was not a global phenomenon. For 3 years we suffered. And we hardly realized. So how to use this knowledge to the best advantage is what we need to do. Now, scenario is not so depressing. It's a challenge for supply chain management professionals, actually. Now is the time for supply chain management professionals. And if I talk in terms of Dr. James Stark from University of Florida, if he is here, he would say supply chain professionals will have to face the good, bad, and ugly. What is good? That it can supply chain management can provide a very significant benefit to organizations and their customers. Bad is that it is difficult to plan, complex, implementation is difficult, and controlling due to increasing risk and uncertainties. Ugly is that we all know this, that effective and efficient supply chains are vital for growth, but it is not easy to achieve that. However, no point to lose faith. Supply chain professionals will do what they have always been doing. They will rise to the challenge and do whatever it takes to take. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arjun. I think the last time I heard a pin drop silence when someone was speaking was when Baba Ramdev was talking. But no jokes. I mean, this is the first time that I've heard someone just listen totally and in rapture to your lecture. So well done. Maybe just a thought for you before you pack up for the day and take it back to Tonda is in the automotive industry the biggest challenge, like he said, is the changing demand. Petrol is cheaper, petrol cars are in demand. Now diesel has become an issue and diesel cars are not going to be in demand. I think you would be already facing that. The thing that we have to think about, and probably this is a point of innovation that automotive companies need to look at, is to go back to what Mr. Henry Ford did or what Ambassador did. Make only one car. And the rest of the things can be done when the customer comes in. So today, the technology is available where you don't have to paint the car. The car can be skinned completely. The entire skin of the car is printed out by printers and it can be attached to the shell and you don't have to worry, it's scratch proof, just like your iPhone cover is. Yeah? So too with the covers of the car seats and the tires, all of these could be last mile. A thought. Okay. And now, having heard from Achal on Honda cars, maybe a little bit of a different topic because we have industry veterans from all the four spheres here, from the government, from the manufacturing, from the consulting side, and of course from the supplier side, industrial products. I will ask Mr. Sunil to come and talk about his thoughts on supply chain challenges and adoption. Schaeffler is an international brand, has come into India many years ago, competes with a couple of local Indian racking and material equipment manufacturers. I would like to hear how he and his team have adopted their supply chains to meet the local preference for the local brands.
Well, thank you, Harry. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's been late towards the evening of the day, and unfortunately, I would like to share a bad news right before I start my presentation, that I had certain videos to make my point across to you, but they're not working. So what I will do is I'll try to see how better I can do justice with the presentation. My view on the topic, wherein we're talking of adopting supply chains vis-a-vis the economies which are the economic changes which are taking place today. Since morning we heard very good sessions, presentations, we saw papers, and they all were talking about, I would like to recall a few words from there: management vision, management support, high labor cost, labor redundancy, low skill sets. We are talking about high labor cost, and we are talking about environment, health and safety. We are talking about sustainability. We are talking about so many things like product life cycle recently. we are talking about technology and its adoption and its role in the supply chain of future. We are talking about all those things. So yes, all these things are very important, and all these things have either positive or negative impact on today's supply chains. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you all towards a little different direction. Before that, let me ask you one simple question. If tomorrow morning I shut down all the warehouses in India, what's going to happen? I think nothing is going to move out. Nothing is going to deliver to you. You will not find things what you wanted to buy in the market, because you will get an answer because the supply is not there. So, amidst of all these reasons what we discussed since morning, so I'm going to take your focus around the core of the supply chain, which is the warehouse performance, warehouse's role, and not just warehouses, all the activities which are like taking place inside the warehouse, and then basically how they define the speed to the market, how they relate it to the warehouse performance. In the past, more market share meant, it was mostly dependent on two factors. One was the quality part of it, second was the technology part of it. Like what better technology do you have to produce a better product? And these two factors basically decided like how you're going to excel in the market, how big market share you would basically get eventually. But now, I think the situation has changed a little bit, because with time, as you would agree with me, that competition is also very dynamic. As you are changing, competition is also changing. So your competitors today also possess the good technology, they have good talent, they have everything good what you have. So there are literally no differentiators. So what is the differentiator now? How fast you make your product to reach to the markets. That basically defines the differentiation. And that makes you competitive in the market. So, with regard to this fact, the conventional role of warehouses in the past was only about storing products, but now today's warehouses are doing a lot more than that, and they are not just warehouses but are passive manufacturing units. What I mean by passive manufacturing unit is that once you manufacture a product which is not fully customized today, but you keep it in the intermediate form, and you customize or you create the product differentiators only when you have visibility around the orders from the market. So basically I'm talking about the product postponement. I would like to also make a point that things are changing very fast. Market is dynamic. Even the business models are basically demanding for different kind of supply chains. So let me show you a video, and then we will move forward.
Be it cleaning agents, hairstyling products, electrical brooms, or equipment for trekking trips. At the home shopping station HSC 24, viewers can order everything their heart desires 24/7. But how does the merchandise reach the customer? The linchpin of the system is the new distribution center in Grevin that the logistics company DHL operates there for the home shopping station HSC 24. Within a construction period of about 12 months, the specialist for logistics systems, SSI Schaefer of Giebelstadt, Germany, realized the project. It is made up of a high bay warehouse, the logistics system located in the building, and the material flow computer. The time-lapse shows the development of a two-story building with a footprint of approximately 11,000 square meters, and the high bay warehouses with a footprint of 3,200 square meters. At the beginning, there is goods receiving. The goods and products are being purchased worldwide and delivered to the logistics center in Grevin. There, the goods are received on pallets. The palletized goods are recorded and subsequently stored in the high bay warehouse. At quality control, the goods are inspected, measured, and the single unit weight is determined. In addition to the palletized goods, products on hangers are also being received. The ready-to-wear clothing on hangers is delivered by trucks and manually put onto a telescopic conveyor, which which forwards them to goods receiving via a monorail. About 6,000 pieces of ready-made clothing can be buffered here before its data is recorded in goods receiving. The clothes are subsequently transported to the upper level to be stored in the static warehouse that has approximately 17,200 storage positions available. Electrical items, collectibles, or jewelry are also inspected upon receipt and before storing. Via conveyors and with the help of storage and retrieval machines, the pallets are forwarded to the high bay warehouse. Here, the pallets can be stored double deep in 4 aisles on approximately 19,000 storage positions. The enormous 2-mast storage and retrieval machine is equipped with a lift truck that is able to accept 2 pallets at once. The automatic retrieval of goods is being activated by the incoming order of the viewer. The weight and volume of the consignment is calculated on the basis of the order.
Okay, I'm sorry, I want to interrupt here. The video is a little bit long. I'm going to consume a lot of time on that. So I'll explain what have you seen so far. You have seen a business model which is nothing about ordering something from the comfort of your home. You order something, goods are delivered to you. But what happens in the background? How everything is like, moving inside the warehouse. You have seen jewelry, you have seen hanging garments, you have seen so many other things. So what is happening is there are certain secondary processes which are being done on the basically products, and then basically final customization is done so that your customized order is reaching out to you. We are talking of something like which is make to order kind of a supply chain. In the warehouses today, the product is kept in the most homogeneous form, and then when you receive the order from your customers, from your market, then that final customization is done. So this is all value addition which is done in the warehouse on the products. So that's what I'm trying to say. So value addition is, as I explained, is like you do to basically create final differentiators on the product, and then you finally ship the product even just before the order you receive. So this basically eliminates the risk of product redundancy because in the conventional distribution model you would see that when the products are just there as final products to be sold and you send to different markets, and the forecasts are not really correct, and then you see a bullwhip effect back in the supply chain, and then basically you are ending up sitting with a lot of stock which is non-saleable, and wherein you need fast-moving SKUs, you're sitting with the slow-moving SKUs. You can't relocate them to other market because the cost of relocation is very high. So why would somebody like to enter into a situation like that? And then we started talking of like what to be done, and then we decided, okay, product postponement is one of the innovation at that point in time when we can basically talk about how to basically make the future supply chain look like. So value addition in today's warehouses are like around different areas, like order fulfillment in terms of like e-commerce businesses. Product postponement, like if you would see Asian Paint, they basically keep the base paint at the outlet, but whatever color you want, they just add the shade at the outlet, and basically the final customized product is given to you at the outlet. The decoupling point has been shifted more closer to the point of consumption now. Cross-stocking, repackaging, marketing, branding, all those stuff. Like in the automotive segment, OEM is just one business, but the recurring business for them is selling spare parts. So their suppliers send the spare parts to them, like Honda, BMWs, Mercedes, Marutis of this world. They do rebranding, repackaging, and then basically sell these spare parts through their countrywide outlets. So all these activities are done where? It's in the warehouse only. So in the virtual warehousing model, what is happening is the early processes of the supply chain, like sourcing, intermediate product manufacturing, primary manufacturing, and everything is based on the conventional model of forecast. But the final customization of work in process is not done till you get the final visibility around the orders. So this we call virtual warehousing. And here the role of intralogistics is like very high. What is intralogistics now? So the intralogistics is nothing but, in the simple language, it is integration of all the logistics activities happening within the four walls of the warehouse are integrated in a synchronized manner, and that's what the process is. So intralogistics deals or starts from the point of receiving till the point of dispatch, and what is done in the middle is all these processes. I will not waste so much time on these slides. What I will do is I'll run through these slides. Order fulfillment factory is something which is doing all those secondary manufacturing on the product customization, as we discussed, very closer to the market, so that your product life cycle is within the control. Even before your product is perished, you are able to send it to the market. Say, for example, textile or fashion industry. So now, how a warehouse is designed. What are those activities? What are those processes which are basically undertaken to design a warehouse so that it basically, complements your supply chain speed? First of all, we need to understand what are the products you're dealing in, what are the number of SKUs, what are the order lines, how many people, what is the labor cost, how many working hours, and all those stuff you need. Then we need to see basically, we have to look into next 5 years plan, how your business is going to shape up, how many SKUs is going to be added or phased out, and all those questions needs to be answered. Based on that, we do some data analysis, some statistical models are created, and then basically we arrive at how the future situation is going to change from the present situation, and then we decide how a system should be put in place so that it can take care of all the processes in a very smooth manner, so that you're able to dispatch product well in time with a lot of speed to the market, and then you can basically manage to remain competitive. You have to basically look into other factors as well, that land cost is high, labor cost is high. We heard in the morning labor cost is cheap. That's not a right idea in this country, because cheap labor comes with unskilled, basically low skill set. Low skill set means high safety risk and basically a lot of other challenges which are there. So all these things are basically can be addressed when you employ some degree of automation in the warehouses. So as I said, system is selected based on the final data. So I'm going to take quickly through the process, what is done in the subsequent slides. I know that I've got 15 minutes. Sorry. Let's say that you have to deliver a product order, and first of all, what is going to happen is you have your pickers to pick the orders from the storage area, or say from the raw material side, whatever. You have different workstations in the warehouses where you do the value addition and your people are working. What you need to do is you have to minimize the travel within the warehouse, that the pickers should not go to the different location to pick. Goods should come to them so that they don't waste time on walking, looking for the products in the warehouses. You save time, you save energy, you basically increase the output of the labels. So we are a little bit talking about the automation here. Order starts from here and it has to go to the target position. So what we do is we loop it with the conveyors, and this goes to the target position where this final order is prepared, or you say value addition is done, or whatever. Now the order is ready for shipping, and shipping is like final packaging, and what is missing here is the final packaging workstation. Before the order is shipped out of warehouse is basically it is packed here and then basically dispatched. So all these activities, when combined together and basically work back to back in a synchronized manner, increase the performance of the warehouse. The faster you dispatch the product from your warehouse, the faster you are able to reach to the market. Let's say we have done the analysis of the warehouse, we have seen all the products, we have all A, B, C movers in the warehouse in the order profile, in the product profile. now we want to create a warehouse which is very effective and which is quite it's a high performance warehouse. Let me bring everything here. Now this is the warehouse. You see at the back is a replenishment module which replenishes the workstations, and these workstations, and the picking is done from the A, B, C sections of the warehouse. You finally create the order, you finally ship the order, and all these are it's a combination of all the processes and the technology which basically increases the performance of the warehouse. That's the point is. I'm going to skip these case studies. So, point is, if the warehouses are not performing well, you are going to have bottlenecks at the warehouses, and which is going to basically delay the product movement along the supply chain. So this is not what we are looking for.
Germany's oldest still existing
we have a small look, quick look at the video.
With more than 45 million orders moved per year, it is currently in 9th place among the top mail order companies in Germany. Every day, more than 200,000 items are dispatched from the headquarters in Weiden, requirements that can only be met by a modern logistics concept. Returns are considered the most expensive orders since they have already been picked and dispatched once. In order to develop an efficient remedy, all potential economies of the new warehousing concept were to be exhausted. Main goal of the project: optimize workflows by ensuring a high availability of system and goods, creating a quicker response time with higher flexibility during peak periods. The internal order picking processes were supposed to be condensed and gradually integrated into the RFID technology. As a competent partner, SSI Schaefer, located in Giebelstadt, Germany, implemented the project from the design phase and planning up to the complete equipping with conveyor, control, and bin technology. Now, up to 350,000 items in 38,000 bins can be stored, managed, and picked in a footprint of 1,800 quadrat-meters. The return warehouse primarily serves as a buffer. Returned goods are not sorted back into the warehouse, but are being buffered in a cross-docking operation and immediately returned into the flow of orders. The first step in the goods receiving process is a feedback signal to ANT. All goods returned are being checked for completeness and possible resale. Afterwards, the returned goods are repacked and a barcode is assigned. The RFID, radio frequency identification technology, is one of the highlights of the new order picking warehouse. Within seconds,
So basically, this is covering everything. Like we also talked about reverse logistics. So reverse logistics is about your product is coming back to the warehouse, cost, and then basically other activities which are done on that. So put away is this time-consuming process, and there is a cost behind it. So basically, the idea is that today's supply chains are also changing. The way the business is changing, the way consumer buying habits are changing, and the new business models are coming in, and then it is basically redefining the supply chains. Supply chains are no more just about sending or managing to send the goods from point A to point B, but it is also there is a lot of things to be done when basically you have to run the warehouses to basically complement the supply chains what you have, and that's where the role of interlogistics it becomes very critical. And as I said, that today's warehouses are doing much more than as compared to the conventional warehouses of the past. So basically these are very important I would say core points in the supply chain which you need to take care of very well. That's the point I want to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil. I think that was quite interesting and futuristic. I guess the challenge for you and your company and your products probably is to see what the consumer is ready to pay here, and whether this technology can be adopted and can still make the product reach the consumer at a cheaper cost. That's the biggest bubble that I think is about to explode. And this is a thought for all of you before we hear from the last speaker of the day, Vinod. The e-commerce is a bubble that will burst. Please believe me when I say this. And I'll tell you the reason why. We are all human beings. We all have a consumer choice. We all have likes and dislikes. And e-commerce cannot take care of that. When you want to buy a pair of shoes, or when you want to buy a pair of shirts or socks, you want to look and feel the product. So the need for look and feel will never go away. You are not going to trust something which is obviously just to be seen on the internet. The reason why e-commerce is booming today is because the retailers have still not got their act right. Once the retailers understand how to get the delivery mechanism in place, and they can look at how to get the size of the retail footprint reduced so that people can still look and feel and then deliver the product from their back-end warehouses directly, the e-commerce companies are going to die. There is no point in having an added margin on top of a margin, and that is what is happening in the e-commerce industry. A thought for you. So if you have some stocks, time to think about it and move on. So the last day of the speaker, Mr. Vinod Dostana, and I purposely kept him for the last because he comes from a very interesting background. He comes from a government agency, probably one of the most challenging sectors for anyone to work in. But he's creating magic over there with his central warehousing corporations and the projects that he's undertaking. Let us hear what he has to say about the economics and the changing supply chains. Mr. Astana.
Thank you, Mr. Larry. I think time-wise, it is 5:45, the time at which I think officially we are supposed to call up the day. But anyhow, given the option now, and I understand some of the eminent panelists here are also here since morning only. I joined after lunch, but anyway, seeing that the people are and the audience is all here from since morning, I would like to be as brief as possible. At the outset, let me clarify that you have heard about the high-end situations like Maruti, Honda or Schaeffler providing the services for the different commodities and for having different supply chain systems. Here I am a person who is from the government, and I worked for about 30 years with the railways, and I am presently working with a company called CRWC, Central Rail Site Warehousing Company. See, this company was formed essentially about 5 years back with the purpose of integrating warehousing and transport, rail transport together. The idea was to reduce the logistics cost of the core commodities which move by train and which cannot afford such high cost warehousing or high-end supply chain management operations, and which require multiple handling, volume-wise very high. So these are the things which made this company take a shape. The government decided to have a MOU with the Ministry of Railways and the CWC, work together, formed the company by the Union Cabinet, then gave it a shape of a separate company, and that is how we are there from last few years. We are diversifying also, we are expanding also, our existing terminals are also getting expanded. It is totally a company under the Companies Act. It has got no subsidy, no support from the government. It is a profit-making, dividend-paying company. And let me tell you at the outset that it is a business which is going to grow as far as the core commodities are concerned, because once we started with food grain, that was the first commodity we started with, because we thought that the food grain movement, which is so essential with the new act, which is called Food Security Act, and the movement of food grain will go up. We are expecting to go up by about 3 times. And then how to distribute it in the PDS system through all the states and to all the targeted communities and the clientele that we have to distribute with. So that was the whole idea of just making these warehouses next to the rail side, so that the multiple handling, multiple transport can be avoided along with the wear and tear. Now we have diversified gradually from this particular commodity to fertilizer, to cement, to handling of sugar, salt. All these commodities which move in back commodities, and they come in single unit train. The whole train consists of 2,500 tons of this product comes in a single product and a single train. We unload it, we operate that train, we keep it stored for 5 to 7 days. It has become like a distribution center now, instead of a warehouse. It is some sort of transit warehouse, and it has become like a DC. Especially in the case of cement, which is a very competitive market that cement industry runs with, and there are low margins and tough competition. So there we have got a lot of issues in the cement, that the cement wants to get sold in the market in next 2 or 3 days. We have got capacities in the railside warehouses of capacities of say 20,000 tons, running up to 30,000 tons in Kandla, where we import fertilizer, bag it, and load it in trains to different destinations. We are normally in a position to store 5 to 7 trains of that cargo of 5 to 7 trains in a single warehouse. That is the capacity that we have designed. And with this background, I will try to roll out fast some of the slides that we have as a part of the presentation. Most of the things you are familiar with. It's not that you are not familiar with, and most of the that are delegates from abroad, they would also like to share that. Coming to the issues, that you have a session for the global supply chain in emerging markets. See, India is today ranked 47th, and if you see that after globalization started, I think I am getting it wrong. After the globalization started, our rank has only moved by 2 points in the last 2 decades. The logistics cost continues to be high, and the efficient supply chain management is one thing which not only in the high-end commodities, which have to be seen in the core commodities also. Let's look what is happening at the railways. Mr. Larry mentioned about the infrastructure investment. This is the classic case that since 50s we have not invested in the railways, and this is what is the result today, that in spite of all the advantages that railway has got, our share has come down to as low as about 40%, 42%, and the road share, in spite of all the problems of the road, is still going up. So the classic case of investment not coming through in the right mode of transport is the thing that needs to be understood and appreciated. I have got one slide which will give you some idea of what is happening internationally. See, this is a slide which will show you what is the various modes of mix in logistics across the globe. In Europe, road is 46% and rail is 10%. That is traditional, because water is traditionally moving at 43%. In India, the road is 60% and rail is 31%. If you see the comparison size of China and USA, that in USA the road is 37% and train is 48%. The advantages are well known, but I don't want to go into the details of all this. But this is a comparison which will give us an idea that where we should go and what we should look at. Logistic infrastructure developments in 50s has not been significant till 80s. Now we have got some of the projects which have come through, and the dedicated freight corridor, which is the largest logistics project that the government has conceived and is taking shape now. DMIC Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor, National Highway Authority of India, the government support that is developing the highways, Inland Water Authority of India, which is developing the waterways. Today we have got 6 waterways, but unfortunately the amount of cargo that is moving through it is yet to materialize, and also the major ports. In the global supply chain scenario, the ports and the waterways, along with the hinterland connectivity, are of greater importance. If you see the freight side, 90% of the tradable volume is handled at the ports, and the congestion of the ports and the port connectivity are still major issues. In emerging economies, ports and waterways have a major role to ensure efficient supply chain management. Waterways, as we all know, are cost effective, environment friendly, depending upon geography and the location. Coming to warehousing, my esteemed colleague just now mentioned about the business model that is being developed in the industrial side, but I will also focus on what is happening on the core commodities side. It is growing that we as a company, you can see that it is growing as a separate business vertical today, warehousing, and in this segment it is growing as a business vertical, and I am sure that it will be a game changer in the field of logistics soon. There is a distinct shift from traditional to modern warehousing because the value-added services, as has already been mentioned. This reduces the overall logistics cost, as I mentioned in the opening statement, by having appropriate location of the warehouse, by performing services like packaging, labeling, coding, etc. Coming to my company, it is a CPSE, as I mentioned straight away. Yeah. See, real side warehousing is itself a very innovative concept in logistics. It has removed the bottleneck in the supply chain for the core commodities. It reduces multiple handling, intermediate transport, wear and tear, transit loss. As you all know, in the FCI, the food grade movement transit loss was very high. Core sector commodities like fertilizer, cement, sugar are handled by us. Logistics supply chain management of such core sector commodities is essential for emerging economies to sustain economic growth, especially in a country like India. When I mention this, it includes iron and steel, it includes iron ore, it includes coal movement, and I'm not sure many of you may be aware also that today the amount of coal that we are importing and the ports, how it is being handled and how it is being moved to the powerhouses all across the country. Right from Gujarat coast to right up to Panipat, or from beginning from Chennai right up to West Bengal. It is a logistics business which has brought this change, and more volumes of core commodities are moving across the country, both from inside, within the country, and also from outside by importing that. Today, CRWC has got 20 terminals across the country. It has handled over 10 million tons of cargo last year. What has happened? Yeah. The total warehouse capacity that today we have is 3.35 lakh metric ton. In the next 5 years, we are trying to double it and carry it to about 7 lakh metric tons. The total warehouse area that we have is 5.5 lakh square meters. That is the developed area that we have got for the warehouses. Company is also in the expanding and diversification phase. We are implementing a 10-year corporate plan already from 2012 to 2022. This is the location that we have got all across for the 20 locations that we have where the RWCs are working, and the new ones which are coming. These complexes are not only warehouses, but they are self-sufficient with full facilities to store. Besides cargo, most of them are ISO certified. The support activities that you see are all provided for in terms of whatever the truckers want, whatever the vendors want, operators want, stakeholders want, is all provided. Besides expansion of the rail-side warehousing, the company is also diversifying into two major segments. One is the logistics park and the other is the cold chain warehouses. These are two major segments. I will not cover the logistic park at this stage because there the more complications are there as we go into it, and I thought the time availability is very limited. But I'll cover the cold chain because that is a very important issue for us, and the government support for the cold chain is very phenomenal. India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world, and as we all know, 40% of the produce goes waste. And recent study indicates the loss of rupees 15,000 crores annually. This is some of the recent figures available with us, which are done by in the study. Two main factors attributed for this loss are lack of integrated refrigerated transport and cold chain based storage facilities at the production as well as the consumption centers. We don't want to go into the details of where all they are located and what is the problem. Mr. Kohli is sitting here, who is heading the NCCD also for this on this particular activity of the government. Post-harvest losses can be reduced and the benefits can flow to all the stakeholders. Government is very keen. Integrated farm to fork concept can be pushed. The government is giving subsidy on this regard, and they are even providing support as far as technology is concerned. But still we are still far away to achieve what is required. If you see the total perishable products in India are estimated at 250 million tons, and except for ice cream and poultry, we don't have cold chain storage facilities for any of these commodities, including milk. In fact, there was some dialogue of having some innovations in milk also. Right? To have a seamless global supply chain, it is necessary in the emerging markets to have infrastructure. Infrastructure is very important whether you go anywhere. Technology and IT. My colleague mentioned about technology and IT, but my own working in this company for last 2.5 years has been that neither technology is as far as available, and neither in the IT segment also we are in a position to make much headway. We have been trying to mechanize our system of operations in the warehouses because of the less availability of labor, but we are not in a position to customize the equipments available which can improve the environment or working environment and make it viable for the commodities support also, because having high-end technological support has got no meaning for in this type of environment. Standardization processes are still a long way off. I don't want to comment on that. Neither the equipment is standardized, now the process is standardized. I had a chance to see the BNSF Logistic Park in Chicago recently. There, it is a 650-acre logistic park, which is being handled only by 13 people. That is the type of standardization across USA, in terms of prime movers, in terms of trailers, in terms of cargo, in terms of container. It is all standardized. Here we have got all multiple type of cargo packaging, multi type of vehicles that we use, and the road conditions. So unless we standardize the processes and equipments, we will never be able to achieve the economy of scale. Similar is the issue of integration, that we have to integrate all these models into one to achieve the economy of scale. Development of infrastructure I have already covered. Standardization we have already covered. And as we have a multimodal transport system for global accessibility, it is necessary to integrate all this into one. To develop economies have achieved complete integration of all these activities to have a sufficient supply chain system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Asthana. And I guess, coming from a government organization and coming up with this initiative, and running a private sector company in a government organization is not an easy thing. I think the biggest challenge for you is when the industry can trust the government. I think that is the biggest thing, because if you don't, then your warehouse is still and the railway still will be running empty. I think that is the biggest challenge, and so that partnership between industry and government has to be built up. And going back to the cold chain, and Bhavnesh of course is the guru here about cold chain, but I can tell you, most of you go to supermarkets and most of you buy your apples and your oranges. But which oranges and which apples do you buy? You buy the California oranges and you buy apples that come from Australia or some other country. You don't buy the Kashmiri oranges anymore. And how is that? Is it because the Kashmiri the apples are not good enough? I think the problem is we don't package them and we don't sell them good enough. Right? Because buying an American product is relevantly easy for us because it is packaged nicely, low costly, but we can't buy local products because it's not packaged correctly and not stored correctly. So I promised you a good session about you guys getting involved in some questions and answers. All the industry leaders are still here and on the panel. I open the floor. Please, as many questions as possible in 15 minutes time, and then remember we have drinks, dinner, and unfortunately no dance. Yeah? So, don't ask me questions, please ask the panelists, please ask the experts. I think
Thank you very
they
much.
are the people.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much,
excuse
Mr.
me.
Chairman. I'm not going to ask any question, but actually I don't want to say anything, but I have to. Allow me to share with Mr. Ashal Paliwal, because you talk about the case of Honda in Thailand and about the problem with the supply chain risk. Well, it is a theory. I'm not going to talk about the politics. I'm not going to talk anything non-academic. It is really a theory. As we all know that supply chain risk has two sided, two way to roots. One comes from man-made, that is terrorists, for example, and the other one is natural, for example, flooding that Thailand has been 2 years ago. Actually, that disaster should not have happened at all. I'm sadly to say that unluckily that we have a very stupid and cruel government. It is the government's stupidity and cruelty. We, all the academic people, all the practitioners, you know that very well, I'm sure, and thank you very much for being so polite when you talk about Thailand problem with the supply chain risk. Actually, I'm sure, not just the academic, but you as a practitioner, you know the problem pretty well. And it is a theory as well that actually the flood happened because of the man-made, the stupid government, and also the natural as well. But this one could be solved, and the problem should not have happened if the information sharing has been received. But as you know, the government keep on saying the same phrase, we can do it. That is a fake. She tells a lie all the time. But if she admits that, okay, we cannot do it, everybody all want to collaborate and assist each other. But because of the information is not received correctly, it's not complete, it's not fast, it's not correct, complete, fast, whatsoever. So that's the reason that why nowadays, as you know from the news, that we have to expel all the bad politicians from my country. And I am one who go to protest the government. I do not care. You can copy, you can show me anywhere in the world. And I would like to beg of you too, because the disaster should not have happened. And if we did our best, I love my country even though we have a very bad government. So for those who are outside, for example, Honda India or Honda Japan, they know that it's painful. So please help us put a pressure from outside in, so that hopefully that we could expel the government. There is a lesson learned. I'm not talking anything else. It is a lesson learned. It's like a Thai baht. collapse that we used to have that about 10 years ago. So today is a supply chain risk, but that risk could be protected if the information sharing, if the information is speedy, complete and correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. for highlighting a very specific issue, country-specific issue, I would say. So many times, other than the political risk, there are country risks, and there are politicians are politicians. Anyways, I respect for the reason that they have their own set of compulsions, right? And definitely, information is their prerogative. Although we have been seeing all the way for last six days after this flood happened that our factories are sinking, water is getting in, and still we had no confirmed report how this could happen, how they are going to manage. But anyways, no comment on that. With this kind of thing, the learning is that partnership with Thailand has actually deepened. We have hedged our risks, and we have decided that whatever vendor base we have there, we will replicate in India also. So that whenever there is a trouble in Thailand, we can help them out. And when we have trouble here, Thailand can help us out. And that happened with US, that happened with China. All major Gampos came together, and they decided to do so. Of course, when it comes to government part, no comments, because it's a non-political forum. But definitely we understand your pain and share. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen over there.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourself also so that...
Sir, pardon me, I just want to add one point to this discussion, because which is very relevant to India. Like as the pain could be seen, what happened in Thailand, but let me share one thing, that even natural calamities are giving a beyond reparable effects because of man-made mistakes. If you look at the Bombay rains example, in Bhiwandi what happened, some of the major MNCs, they had their warehouses chosen in such an area where there was no way out to water come out. And my request to all the supply chain heads and whosoever is managing this, that never ever ignore those aspects while choosing a warehouse to save the cost. Because I have seen warehouses being chosen in basements without looking at that what will happen if even excessive rains are held there. And in Bhiwandi, I will not take the name of their company, but one company lost crores of rupees, and ultimately the company sacked the SCM head. But that was not actually the answer. Reason is, while the decision was made, n number of people were involved, and everybody ignored that aspect. And I am sure we have not learned lesson from that disaster, and still choosing warehouses in such a location where it is bound to happen that we will not be able to help neither from natural calamities or fire, etc. So there is a point which I thought to add to her. It is true for India as well.
Thank you. And I know and I respect that we haven't given you guys a chance to ask questions. My sincere apologies, but the organizers are running late with the venue fixing and the next events. What I would suggest is that we have the next set of events, which is much more better and open, and probably over a couple of drinks, it's going to be even more better for us to chat about every single thing and not have any problems. Why don't we leave those questions to that session and enjoy over the drinks? And I request you to now close the proceedings.
Excuse me, sir. I just have one question, sir.
Please, okay. I know you have been there.
Okay, this is Atul Jayal, and my question is to Mr. Vinod Asthana. As Mr. Harry Lagarde has pointed out, that industry can't trust government-owned private warehouses. So, sir, why don't Government of India allow private sector entry in railway warehousing and railway sector, so that our government can also reap the benefit of globalization by exporting more goods abroad, as China is doing?
I don't know whether you are aware that railway is already entering into PPP mode in all its aspects of freight operation, whether it is terminals or whether it is port connectivity or sidings. It has got a definite policy of PPP engagements with private partners. One of the important policy directives is for PFT. This is called Private Freight Terminal, where you can develop a terminal on your own and operate it, whether you have a container depot or you have ICD or you have CFS or you have a warehouse, whatever facilities you want to generate, you can do, whether you can do handling of iron and steel also, or liquid cargo for that matter. So that facility is already available from the railway side to the private people. One can engage in that activity, whether it is profitable, whether it have rate of return, how much you can generate, those things are still issues which will need to be studied at your particular location. But from the railway side, the policy is available.
If private sector also wants to run their own rails, so that goods can be transferred as quickly as possible, as one of the things that has pointed out that it took 21 kilometers if you ship your product by road. So why don't private sector is allowed so that they can also run their own rails?
Thank you. I guess your question was not heard properly because we didn't have the mic, but I request that maybe just after this you can catch hold of Mr. Asthana and
I'll be there. We'll discuss. Yeah.
He will be outside, he says.
Yeah.
He's not going to go outside. Thank you. हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना बाहर देखेंगे.
I take this opportunity to thank our panelists for a thought-provoking discussion ranging from supply chain disruptions owing to natural disasters, economic changes or man-made disruptions to some key differentiators in strategy for less predictable environment. As a token of our gratitude, may I request Dr. Rahul Singh to present memento to our esteemed panelists. Mr. Harry Lagar, Mr. Achal Paliwal, Mr. Abhijit Chaudhary, Mr. Sunil Dabral, and Mr. Vinod Asthana. With this we come to an end of day one of the conference. Thank you all for being a part of it and making it a success. We look forward to seeing you all at 7:30 p.m. for dinner at Silver Oak Hall. Thank you very much. Silver Oak Hall is at ground floor of this building.